This is Helvetica. I mean, of course, you can tell just by looking at it. You've seen this font a million times. It's been the forefront of thousands and thousands of corporate identities. It's all over Apple's operating systems, logos, copy text. It's all over the place. I mean, it's so unique and distinguishable from all the... It's Arial. Welcome to Font History.
Before we get into this video, I just wanted to say that I am currently a senior in college studying graphic design. This is my bread and butter. This is my steak and potatoes. I'm extremely qualified to talk about this information.
So what is Helvetica? Well, for starters, Helvetica is a neogrotesque sans-serif typeface. Oh my god, it's this guy again? What do you want, man? Hey, got something to say? Hey, oh. Oh, okay, and he just like closed. Okay, and he's done. Waste my damn time. What does sans-serif mean? Let's figure out what a serif is first. Looking at Times New Roman, a serif is a little stroke or line that hangs off the main letter form. A sans-serif typeface is one without any serifs. Sans translates from French to without, so a sans-serif typeface is a typeface without serifs. Oh my god, is he asleep again? He's sleeping with a hat on. He has a hat on. His head. And now he's smiling. He's smiling. He's giggling at me right now. He knows what he's doing. Ugh, this dude. I fucking hate this kid.
Alright, let's talk about what neogrotesque means. It doesn't really make sense for me to do animations for this part, so we're going like face to face. I'm looking right at the camera, and then I'll show y'all examples so we can have a good understanding of what's going on. So we have grotesque and neogrotesque. Let's talk about grotesque because that comes first. Grotesque typefaces were created mostly in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and were created solely for big and bold advertisements. So big in fact that many of these typefaces created during the time were made uppercase only capitals. No lowercase, no italics, none of that. A popular example of this is called accidens grotesque. It's actually what inspired typefaces like Helvetica. So why is it called grotesque? Isn't that like a demeaning term meaning ugly? Well, yeah, it is. At the time, a wide majority of fonts and typefaces were serifs or black letters. So these grotesque fonts, they were new, they were abnormal, they were weird. So people started calling them weird and gross. And, at the time, the creators, they were kind of just like, well, yeah, you're kind of right. So they embraced the title of grotesque for their typefaces. So let's jump back into how these specific typefaces were made. Accidens Grotesque was published in 1898 and was one of, if not the most popular grotesque typeface at the time. And eventually, it kind of died out. Not many people were making grotesque typefaces anymore after a few decades, until 1957. Now, 1957 was a huge year in typography, as there were two big typefaces to hit the market. One of them, Helvetica, and the other, Univers by Adrian Frutiger. These two were in direct competition with each other. They both wanted to be the it girl, but they were both made in the age of reviving grotesque typography. Both of them were inspired by Accidens Grotesque, and it worked. And since this moment in 1957, Helvetica became the most used typeface in the world for the next 3 to 4 decades. Now, a little fun fact, when Helvetica was made, it was actually called Neue Haus Grotesque. It wasn't until a few years later that it was bought by Linotype in 1960 that they changed it to Helvetica, as it was the peak of the Swiss international typographic style. So now that we know the brief history of Helvetica, why did I bring up Arial right at the start of this video? So now this is going to be a typography war between Apple and Microsoft. So when Apple were developing their systems, they started using Helvetica as their operating system default font. And Microsoft, they wanted their own version of that, so they started using Arial as their default font. So for a long time, for about 3 decades, there was a battle between who was like the main default font, Helvetica or Arial. And it actually wasn't until 2007 when we got the answer. And it was because Microsoft folded when they made their new default font, Calibri. I'm sure y'all know about Calibri. And Microsoft actually changed their default font again. If you're using Outlook for your emails now, you might know Aptos. So thank you for listening to this quick little history of Helvetica, the typeface. Tune in next week when I talk about Futura. This is a big one. Woo!